Hi, Nick. Thank you so much for joining me in this conversation today. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk about your coaching experience.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So, first of all, some background on how we connected, because we first connected on Instagram
Yeah,
and you'd been following me for some time, and we then started speaking one on one.
yeah,
So, that later led you to make a decision and sign up to the 6 session program.
yeah,
Now, I remember that you were in between jobs at the time.
yeah,
So you were first a little bit hesitant to sign up due to your situation, which I know that a lot of people are going through right now as well because of obviously the difficult circumstances due to COVID. So given that, what was it that drove you towards committing at that particular time?
Um, at the time, I remember it was a lot of confusion in my head about what I wanted to do next. I just finished university. COVID was taking over, and I didn't really understand what I wanted to do. And I was just everyone kind of was giving me their opinions, and I wasn't really listening to myself. So I just felt when talking to you on Instagram, it kind of made sense in my head to kind of get some help on thinking things through. And I kind of felt like it was more an investment to actually take time to actually spend the money than it was to actually just kind of trying to wing it on my own and actually going down different paths that I wasn't really sure. So the biggest thing that was that kind of made me want to do it was the fact that I just couldn't stop thinking. Like it was just too many options, too many things, and it was just all the chatter in my head was just too much. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. About 2 or 3 sessions into the program, how would you describe at that point the experience or feelings that came up for you during the sessions during the sessions and at the end of the sessions as well?
The sessions were hard in a sense, not like they were like it was very challenging in a good way because it kind of brought forth the belief systems I didn't realize I had, and it kind of challenging them in a thinking about them differently kind of made me see how I was blocking my own kind of path of going. And the second or third session, it kind of it really hit me where the areas in my life where I could take control, it was instead of looking for other places to find the control. Like I was looking for other people to tell me the answers, but really it was how to take control in my own self. And this is what was causing a lot of my own kind of spinning out of control behaviors. And having that kind of challenge really kind of, and just having someone out there who was external who had no clue what was really going on, just what from what I told them, to kind of help me bring out my own thoughts was quite refreshing. And I kind of felt like I remember like at the third feeling, it was like massive, like kind of weights were being lifted. Like I kind of just felt like I just dropped all the luggage, and I was like, actually, you know what? I don't really need all that anymore. And it was kind of like a weird feeling because it was not just the sessions that also impacted. It was kind of the also the after, like throughout the week. It would be I would kind of think of something that would be in the same kind of mindset that I was before, but I'd actually think, oh, is this actually me or coming from someone else? Which was quite liberating in a way because it was like the kind of the start of the kind of switch over, the transition from being someone who just kind of had life happen to them rather than actually living life.
Mm, cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. The first session, you're trying to find the ropes. You're trying to understand this new way of working with this new person, right?
Yeah,
And then after that, it sounds like you started to really, because I remember the way that you started to become more reflective and go through the process and that clarity that you were just describing and
yeah,
the way your perspective started to shift. And
yeah,
first, like you said, you started taking responsibility for certain things which you hadn't probably realized that you weren't before.
yeah,
And also identifying what were the areas in your life that actually needed your attention, which you probably hadn't considered. So
Yeah.
it was subconscious at the time, and it was brought to your awareness, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So midway through the program, I noticed as well that there were some things that shifted for you. And like you said, it was during the sessions themselves, and often the shift also happens in between sessions when you reflect on what's been discussed, right?
Yeah.
So at that point, around midway through the program, I noticed quite a big change in your energy. The way you were speaking was a lot more calm and reflective, and I'm just wondering, what was life like for you at that point?
It kind of felt like I used to always describe my life as like I was on a ship and there was a fog and a storm happening at the same time, and I had this compass and it wasn't really working. And it kind of felt like throughout the sessions, eventually, one of the aspects of that was causing the storm would go away. So either the rain would stop, then the clouds would go away, and the compass would start working. So it kind of felt like throughout each session, I was gaining a little bit more insight onto how I can start taking control of my own life vessel. And I think halfway through, when I realized it's that like I didn't need other people's permission to like something or not like something, really kind of hit home and kind of like elevated how I was feeling. Like, oh, I can choose to do things. And it's kind of like a weird feeling when you kind of realize that the thoughts that you sometimes have may not actually be your own thoughts. They could be from someone else who's given them to you, like through experiences prior. I mean, like, know what's my opinion and what's someone else's opinion, and then being able to like evaluate what someone else's suggestion is compared to how I'm feeling. And I think that was one of the skills that I didn't have through my life. I was kind of just taking on everything, like everyone's opinions, and I had to do it all. Everything anyone said, I had to do it all. And I was losing myself in that kind of hustle of trying to please everyone, because I always thought everyone else kind of knew more than I did because I didn't know what I was doing. So I kind of just was doing all that. But then having like these sessions, and not that like you didn't, the biggest difference I think compared to the session compared to what actually happened was that you didn't actually tell me anything like in terms of this is how you should think. You kind of helped me realize that what was my feelings versus someone else's. And that for me was kind of the biggest lesson to learn. And I think within the first 3 week sessions, I've kind of started to understand that, like what was actually a feeling that was coming from me as a human versus someone else telling me what they think I should do. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's two big things that you mentioned there. And one is this discovery of your identity, right? And who you are separate to other people, and what your thoughts and opinions are separate to other people.
Yeah.
And in developing this understanding of your identity, you're understanding yourself better, which makes you more grounded and more able to make decisions for yourself, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is what you mentioned in regards to, yes, I didn't tell you what to do. And it's that it's like they say, when people offer you advice, you don't do it, but if you discover it on your own, then you
Yeah.
will. So if I had told you what to do, you probably wouldn't have ended up doing it, but
Yeah.
allowing you the chance to discover it for yourself is what enables you to feel it on a deeper level, to want to create the change yourself, um,
Absolutely.
and really wanting to create that change, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, and like you said in the beginning, it's not something that happens overnight, but it's realizations that create the action that end up creating the change, right? So
Yes.
it starts with changing perspective and realizing things. So fast forward now to the end of the program. In what way did your perception of your challenge feel different at the end compared to the start?
Perception of the challenges felt different. So I think my biggest the difference between the start and the end, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. I think the challenges I brought in, I was thinking about, were most of them were surrounded by work. Was my like I didn't know what to do with my life in terms of my career. Towards the end, I kind of realized is that I didn't have the ability to listen to what myself wanted in all of that. And so a lot of people were giving me advice what they thought I should do, and I literally had a whole list of potential job routes to go down, but none of them actually felt like something I wanted to do, and I kind of was in this stuck ball pit, and I didn't know which way to go, and I could, it just all got a little bit too claustrophobic with everyone talking at me in my head. But I think if taking that towards at the end, I kind of was able to know what I kind of wanted, and I didn't want to apply for jobs which I knew weren't going to be beneficial for me. I wanted to, find something that I wanted to do, even and to enjoy it myself, rather than letting other people dictate it for me. So I think that was one of the biggest changes, was in terms of career, was to understand that, what, I actually have a say in what I want to do with my life. I don't have to do what other people are saying that I have to do. And I can take their advice and listen to it, but it doesn't have to impact my decision completely, as I am in control of where I'm going. And people can give their advice, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to change course.
Yeah, your self-belief grew so dramatically, didn't it? I remember, I think it was the second session, and you said to me at one point, oh, well, there was a moment, there was a shift happening, and you said, wow, I just suddenly felt this wave of self-belief enter
Yeah,
me. And what you just described there is, you believed that the decisions that you would be able to make, regardless of other people's opinions, would, if should it feel right, would be the right decision for you, right? You
absolutely.
felt more connected to who you are, which was beautiful to witness as well.
Yeah,
um,
there's
so
definitely a lot of throughout this whole thing. I kind of remember that feeling of having that penny drop moment, and it was kind of interesting, that kind of realization, because the way just the conversations that we were having, and the way you just kept phrasing things differently, and I kind of remember the thought process of kind of realizing oh yeah, that's what that means. Okay, yeah, that's how I'm feeling. That's how I actually feel, or that's what I should actually do. It was kind of when you kind of connect to yourself, you kind of it just kind of feels, you just feel life a bit lighter. You don't feel so heavy because it's actually coming from inside rather than out. It's weird. It's like the life pushes out, feels like it's going out rather than life pushing in.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it feels a lot lighter, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like something's lifted, and again, you go into the process thinking, am I going to find the answers to what I need to do?
yeah,
But in the end, you find the answers in how to think for yourself in a more helpful way, right? It's more about the
yeah,
thinking and the being compared to the doing.
yeah,
So it's changing your perspective rather than what do I need to do, which is what tends to cause anxiety for people, is when they try and work out what do I need to do rather than analyze their perspective.
yeah,
And yeah, it was on my side of things, guiding you through the process. It's like I was a helpful aid in guiding you towards finding these realizations for yourself, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was a really good, because like I said before, you didn't tell me how I should think, because you didn't even know how I should think or feel. You were just kind of helping me realize what was coming from me and what was coming from someone else,
Right.
or what was the limiting belief, what was the limiting thoughts, what were the limiting my understandings, and you kind of helped me to realize that, oh, I can be someone who has an active role in my life, whatever that means.
Mm.
which I think is a lot more powerful than, like you said, like telling me the answer. Like you probably saw through like what my issues were, but if you just told me, like it wouldn't have helped. It would just been
Right.
like another person telling me what to do.
Right. Yeah, I was bringing to the surface this awareness of all of your subconscious thoughts and making you see them in front of you so that they're
Yeah,
all laid out, to be able to see things more clearly, right?
yeah.
So it's now been a couple of months since we finished our sessions together. So in what way would you say that these tools have been serving you in your life until now?
Um, I think limitedly with COVID, like I haven't had like massive changes in my life
Mm,
in terms of external changes. I think I've had a lot of internal changes, and my day to day and the way I interact with people has definitely improved to a way where I'm happy. Um, so for example, I'm not taking things so seriously. I'm not stressed with decisions. I'm I'm able to actually know, like, do I want to learn this skill for me, or do I want to learn this skill because I think it'll make someone else happy? And those kind of little changes have actually built up to bigger changes over the past few months. And even though we finished our sessions together, there were still times throughout it when I kind of realized still things were kind of like the dust was still kind of settling in my head, and things were still changing and still developing. Um, so like there's been a lot, I've been a lot more active in decisions, and even when I'm asking for people's help, I'm not asking them to tell me what to do. I'm asking them to have like, let's have a discussion and like help me think which option is better for me, rather than tell me what you think the option's better for me. And those kind of small changes in my day-to-day life, I think are going to have changed the trajectory. So like in a couple years, I'll probably be in such a better position than I have been now, where I would have been going. And I think that is probably the greatest thing I could have invested in, is actually change the trajectory where I'm going to see massive results in what I've just in the sessions we spent together. And I think the skills that you helped me to learn, which are skills that I think a lot of people actually miss out on, is how to recognize your own thoughts, your own beliefs, your own values, and how to communicate them to others without imposing, and how to negotiate with other people's values, beliefs, and systems, and know what's good for you. And I think that kind of those kind of experiences and skills, they do take time to also develop as well on your own. It's not just the 6 sessions and then that's it, you learn the skills. It does take time to learn them as well. But I think having that baseline of those 6 sessions to really negotiate and test and try and experiment with those kind of skills is probably a very invaluable investment into your own life. And I would probably be interested to see where I am in a few years, to see, not, I can't compare, but like I'm pretty sure like in a few years I'll be in a very lot better position than I am now, because I'm making better decisions based on the changes that we've done.
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it sounds like it's taught you how to be more reflective, less reactive and more reflective, so
yeah,
that now whenever moving forwards you have any decisions to make or anything happens in your life around you, then you're able to bring this self-aware bring forward this self-awareness, because
yeah,
once you learn how to be self-aware, it can only grow from there, right? It's a self-awareness is almost like a tool in itself, uh,
yeah,
where you start to become more reflective and thinking things through thoroughly, being less reactive.
yeah,
Um, and it's true, sometimes things physically start to manifest themselves, in a year or 2 years. But with that new way of thinking, it can serve you in every day and feeling more calm about the decisions that you make every day, isn't it?
yes, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
cool. So what would you say to anyone who's going through a similar experience as the one that you were going through several months ago before the coaching process?
I would say you are really, if you were in the same situation where you were really struggling to understand and stuck, if you were stuck and you really needed some help, I would say I would really recommend the investment. I think it's, in the grand scheme of life, it might seem like a big chunk of money, but in the grand scheme, it probably isn't, in terms of what you could probably get after. Because if it helps you move further in life, if you're able to enjoy life and move a bit further, I think that's even, you'll be able to make better decisions, as we said, and that kind of small investment into yourself is something that does pay off. And I think if I was in the same situation, I would still suggest to do it again. I would still do it again. I think life coaching can be very beneficial in terms of getting you to where you kind of feel the self belief in yourself to get yourself to the next level. And it's about, I think life coaching isn't about someone telling you what to do. It's about someone helping you to take control of your own life. Um, so I
Absolutely.
think like that kind of skills, if you haven't developed them or haven't been able to have the opportunity to try, which I haven't throughout my whole years of being here, I think it was something that I really needed, because I didn't have the opportunity to experiment with taking control of my life or moving on. I was kind of just, uh, I was kind of just going on life's kind of path for me, and I was not an active person. So I would really recommend it if you are thinking about it, because it is a small, in the grand scheme of life, it might be big now, but it's a small investment in the whole overall.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. 'Cause like you said, it helps you get to the next level and it teaches you everyday life tools that you can carry with you for the rest of your life. And I
Yeah,
remember you saying to me in one of our sessions, I can't remember which one this was, but you said to me, or maybe it was towards the end of the program, but uh, you said it probably would have taken me a few years to learn these tools, but I've just learned them in 6 weeks.
yeah,
So it's just saved me a few years of my life. I
yeah,
remember
exactly.
you saying something along those lines, and that's absolutely true. Those tools that we end up learning through coachings, I've experienced it myself too. It's like an accelerated learning process, and it means that you end up being able to enjoy those years of your life that you're never going
Yeah,
to get back. Um,
yeah,
and you're so young as well, and you've got your whole life ahead of you, and it means that you'll be able to maximize those years of your life and reach your full potential
yeah.
thanks to this new way of thinking that you've adopted. So, but I want to congratulate you as well for the progress that you made, because like you said, it's not about someone giving you the answers and off you go and it's easy as that. It's not, it's a process and it takes
Yeah,
effort. From both sides, it takes effort to want to create a change.
yeah,
And as long as there's that desire, then it's totally possible for anyone, isn't it?
yeah.
And
I
whatever
think,
age. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's that if you're going to do this, you're going to need to want the change and be open to the ideas. And it isn't a, it isn't a linear process. It is a all over the place kind of conversations, but it does really help reflect, and like it's helped me in ways within relationships with other people that I didn't even expect, were didn't think that they were, like, I had issues with. But then I kind of realized, oh, actually I was letting people walk all over me, or letting people do things that I wasn't comfortable with, but I didn't wasn't aware of myself to kind of understand that. And even with my own kind of self-discipline and my own self-belief, like when I was, it's very easy to go and just go do something and waste the whole day, and then you kind of beat yourself up about it. But you kind of, it's because I wasn't really sure about what I wanted to. And I think one of the biggest things what we were working on was that kind of like pause and stop before you do something and ask yourself, is this really what you want to do? And then if it is, then you know what? Yeah, go lay on the sofa and watch TV all day, because that's what you really want to do. You're not going to beat yourself up after. But if you really feel like you should go do something productive, and then you ended up going watch TV, you're going to not be like yourself at the end. And it was kind of that kind of small little skill that has really changed how I kind of view on life, because I kind of give myself permission to do things, and it's that taking control, not like asking other people to give me permission. I'm giving myself the permission to be a human being, not a human doing, as you say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that self-awareness has allowed you to step outside of yourself and view it from an outside perspective and see what's really going on.
Yeah.
And it's funny, isn't it, when you look back at your behavior towards other people before, it's like it's almost like a totally different person, isn't it, as you
Yeah.
start to evolve.
Yes.
But yeah, again, I want to congratulate you for the amazing progress that you did, and
Thank
it's
you.
been so beautiful to witness for me.
Thank you so
So
much. And
thank you
thank
for
you for all
allowing
your
me
help.
that experience.
Yes. Oh, brilliant. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks. Well, thanks for your time today, and I really enjoyed this chat. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.
Yes, thank you. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.